Europe did not just exit a company, it exposed a system it does not control. And once you see where that control actually sits, this stops looking like an investment decision and becomes a structural alarm. A BP manages 538 billion euros for Dutch civil servants. In April 2026, its latest investment disclosures showed Palantir was no longer listed. The fund confirmed the entire 825 million euro stake had been sold. 3 months from public revelation to complete exit. The stated reason was that the fund weighs, and I'm quoting here, how sustainable and responsible an investment is when making decisions. That language sounds ethical. The underlying logic is about something else entirely. Palantir is not the product. Control is the product. Everything else is just the interface. Here is what Palantir actually does at the system level, because this is where the analysis gets interesting. Palantir does not sell software. It sells integration. Its platforms, Gotham and Foundry, sit inside police systems, intelligence workflows, immigration enforcement pipelines, military targeting architectures. Once Palantir is embedded in those workflows, it does not function like a vendor. It functions like infrastructure. Agencies build decision-making processes around it. Analysts are trained on it. Procurement cycles become structured around it. At that point, replacing it is no longer a purchase decision. It becomes a dependency problem. The software is visible, control is not. And the dependency problem has a very specific shape. Palantir is an American company. Its code is proprietary. Its updates are controlled by its own engineering teams. Its data access architecture operates under US legal frameworks. When Dutch police use Palantir software, which the Dutch newspaper Volkskrant revealed in August 2025, the data flowing through that system was being processed inside infrastructure that ultimately answers to American corporate and legal structures, not Dutch ones. The Netherlands officially opposes practices that Palantir's technology enables through ICE operations and military targeting. But Dutch institutions were running data through Palantir systems regardless, because the interface looks European. The control layer is not. That is the problem, and it is not a small one. Now here is the mechanism that makes this structural rather than incidental, because this is the part most analysts skip over. The 2018 U.S. Cloud Act allows American authorities to compel U.S. companies to hand over data regardless of where it is physically stored. It does not matter if the servers are in Frankfurt or Amsterdam. It does not matter what the contract says. If the software is American, the legal jurisdiction is American. If a foreign government can legally access the data inside your system, you do not control that system. Control does not follow the server. Control follows the law. This is the same structural exposure behind everything else we have covered. Germany mandating open document formats across all federal ministries and state governments. Denmark migrating to LibreOffice. France removed Microsoft Teams from public administration for 2.5 million civil servants. The EuroOffice Consortium launched a sovereign alternative to Microsoft 365. Different sectors, same problem. Systems that look domestic but legally are not. Palantir inside European police infrastructure is the law enforcement version of Microsoft inside European government ministries. The interface changes. The control architecture does not. Stay with me here, because this is where the pattern becomes very difficult to ignore. A BP's divestment did not happen overnight. In January 2026, the investigative journalism platform Follow the Money revealed a BP held approximately 825 million euros in Palantir stock. Pension participants immediately began applying pressure. Dutch teachers, healthcare workers, and government employees objected to their retirement savings being channeled into a company whose systems operate under jurisdictions their own government cannot override. By April 2026, the stake was gone. And a BP has done this before. Last year, it divested from Caterpillar over equipment use and demolitions. It exited Booking.com and Airbnb over settlement-related operations. The pattern is consistent. When evidence surfaces that a company's products operate inside systems that conflict with the fund's institutional mandate, ABP exits. Now contrast that with the American institutional response, because the gap reveals something important. U.S. state pension funds across roughly half of American states collectively hold billions in Palantir stock. California's CalSTRS holds hundreds of millions. Public employees in California, Maine, New Jersey, New York, and Oregon have formally protested their retirement savings funding ICE operations. When those funds were asked whether they were considering divestment, none of the 8 contacted said they were. The stated reason was fiduciary duty. But that argument does not hold up to scrutiny. Several of those same funds previously divested from private prison operators and firearms manufacturers when confronted with similar concerns. Fiduciary duty did not prevent those exits. What changed is not the legal framework. What changed is the political environment in which fund managers operate. And if you are finding it harder than usual to track which institutional moves are structural and which are noise, that is not a coincidence. The signals are accelerating. Subscribe now so the next analysis lands in your feed the moment it goes live. That divergence is real. But the more important divergence is not about principles, it is structural. When European fund managers are operating inside a regulatory environment where GDPR, the Cyber Resilience Act, and the Network and Information Security Directive create genuine legal exposure for institutions that operate or fund systems they cannot control. ABP's exit was risk management expressed in institutional language. And that is exactly how the broader European infrastructure pivot operates. The language is always ethical or efficiency-based. The underlying logic is always about who controls the system. Now let me walk through the consequences because they extend well beyond Palantir. ABP cut its US Treasury holdings by approximately 10 billion euros during 2025, reducing from roughly 29 billion to 19 billion euros. That sale happened during the same period ABP was still holding Palantir stock, which tells you the fund was already conducting a broad reassessment of U.S. exposure across multiple asset classes simultaneously: equities, bonds, and now surveillance technology infrastructure. These are not separate decisions. They are parallel tracks inside a single institutional de-risking process. The UK's university superannuation scheme, managing £73 billion for 577,000 university staff, holds approximately £45 million in Palantir. The University and College Union's General Secretary has called for divestment, stating university staff will rightly be shocked to learn their pension fund is investing their savings in such a controversial company. Norway's sovereign wealth fund has already established the template. Divest publicly, state the reason clearly, set the precedent. By 2027, I would expect at least 3 more major European pension funds to follow. German and French public pension funds managing government employee retirement face identical institutional logic. If Dutch civil servant pensions cannot fund surveillance infrastructure they cannot govern, the argument for French and German ones to hold it becomes structurally weaker with each exit. The financial impact on Palantir is probably limited in isolation. 825 million euros is a small fraction of its market capitalization. ABP's exit will not move the stock price significantly, but what it does is more structurally important than share price movement. It creates regulatory pressure on European law enforcement agencies that still run Palantir contracts. The Dutch police use Palantir. ABP just publicly concluded that funding a company whose systems operate under US legal jurisdiction conflicts with its institutional mandate. That asymmetry is now visible to Dutch regulators and Dutch politicians in a way it was not 3 months ago. European data protection authorities will scrutinize whether Palantir's software complies with GDPR when used by European law enforcement. The divestment triggers that review in a way that no internal audit process would. Here is where the broader picture becomes very clear. This is not about Palantir specifically. Palantir is one node in a much larger system architecture that European institutions are now mapping and reassessing. Modern institutional power is not located in data. It is located in who can access that data without asking, who can update the systems processing it, and under which legal framework those decisions get made. When European institutions run on American software, American surveillance platforms, American payment networks, and American cloud infrastructure, the answer to all 3 of those questions points back to the United States. That is not a geopolitical theory. It is a legal and technical reality embedded in the Cloud Act, in proprietary licensing structures, in the jurisdictional reach of American courts over American companies, regardless of where those companies operate physically. European governments are now systematically changing that answer. One sector at a time: payments through the Vero network and mandatory SEPA instant infrastructure, document systems through the Deutschland Stack and the Euro Office Consortium, cloud infrastructure through sovereign stack initiatives across Germany, France, and the Nordics. And now the capital flows that funded the companies sitting inside their own systems. 2 decades of dependency built on what looked like convenience. Faster workflows, cheaper software, integrated platforms. What European institutions were actually building was a situation where their own operational capacity depended on systems they had no legal authority over. A BP funding Palantir, while Dutch police ran Palantir software, is a clean example of that contradiction made visible. Dependency is not a technical condition, it is a control relationship. American institutions appear either unable to see this pattern or structurally unable to respond to it. The political environment that prevents U.S. pension funds from divesting from profitable American companies, regardless of what those companies do, is the same environment that prevents a serious reckoning with what it means to lose European institutional capital at scale. The signal to American technology companies is becoming clearer each quarter. European institutional capital is reorienting towards systems Europe can govern. American institutional capital will hold regardless. That is not a stable equilibrium. It is a divergence with a direction. This is not about Palantir technologies. It is one system. The shift is bigger. Europe is removing every system it cannot control. One layer at a time: software, payments, defense infrastructure, capital flows. And when that process reaches critical mass, the systems that once looked indispensable become optional. Not because they failed, because they were never controlled. If you are tracking how European governments are building open source alternatives to Microsoft Office infrastructure, the full analysis is linked in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next.